Hi, I'm Shauna. This is Shauna's World. Welcome back to my channel where I make videos about living intentionally. If that sounds like something you might be interested in, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Shauna's World. In today's video, I'm going to be just reflecting on 2024. It was 2024, wasn't it? I've lost the plot. Yes, reflecting on 2024 and looking ahead to 2025. I guess in general, I really like making these videos, and there's some of my videos that don't usually get very many views, not a lot of people watch them, but I like making them and I like watching other people's versions of their kind of past year reflections and looking ahead at the next year. So I'm going to continue to make them even if hardly anyone sees them. So 2024. It has been a tough year in a lot of ways, although a lot of good things have happened as well. I think part of the reason I've struggled with this year is because 2022 and 2023 were such good years. I was on my sabbatical for parts of both of those years. I had lots of life changes, lots of personal growth, and I get that not every year can be like that, and 2024 was one of those years. Plenty of nice things happened, but overall, it was pretty challenging. I remember the start of 2024 not being the best. My grandma passed away in January. I was in a difficult living situation. I was living in the house share I'm currently in now, but there was some conflict in the house and it was quite a difficult way of living. And I was in a job I just really wasn't happy in. And that was the job that had enabled me to move from London to Devon and start a new life there. So I was didn't know what could be beyond that. And then on top of that, I was trying to train for my running goals, but I kept getting sick. I was sick so many times and it was really feeling like my running goals were out of reach, and that really got me down. Thankfully, things with running and life started to turn a bit better as the year went on and the weather got better. I think a lot of my health problems were caused by the colder, wetter weather. So I had to pull out of a 50k race in April on my birthday and I was absolutely gutted. But after that, training seemed to get a lot better, and that actually put my whole mindset in a better place overall. Things in life got better, living situation got better, work situation got better, but despite things on paper being kind of okay, I just wasn't really in a good place. I've spent a lot of this year in survival mode and feeling like work is taking over everything and I'm not able to put my energy where I want or where it's kind of needed. And I also feel like my energy has been drawn a lot to where other people want it to be and making it hard to prioritize my own needs and goals. So I haven't felt that balance. I felt overwhelmed and it hasn't felt very good. But at the same time, I felt very, very grateful for all the things I have in my life, but just deep down, something has felt really out of alignment. When I feel out of alignment, I feel like I'm not being authentic. I feel like I'm not living authentically. I felt like I've been in a bit of a whirlwind of other people's intentions and energies. But yes, lots of good things happened in 2024. So here are the highlights. Firstly, the biggest and most exciting thing that happened to me this year was running the Lakeland 50-mile race in the Lake District. I really had the time of my life, and especially having had the health problems through the winter and into the spring of not knowing whether that would be able to go ahead. Doing that felt amazing. I got to go on some pretty awesome training runs too. A lot on the Southwest Coast Path and some on Dartmoor, and then just exploring my local area close to me. But I really feel like I've been able to see more of Devon because I've been out on those longer training runs and some hikes as well. I was getting elevation hiking into my training, and it really was a wonderful process. Another highlight of this year was speaking at the Royal Geographic Society. I saw this as a kind of bucket list place to speak. All the kind of most established speakers in the adventure space have spoken at the RGS, and I actually auditioned to do their series of micro lectures last year, and I found out early this year I'd got a place and I did the talk in October. Very unfortunately, I got COVID that week, which I was absolutely gutted about. So I wasn't able to deliver the talk in person, but I did it via Zoom. And I was upset to miss out on the energy in the room and meeting the other speakers. And I love kind of speaking live. And I did get to network a little bit afterwards online. Another kind of success in progress is that my home situation has changed. So I'm still in the rented house in Totnes I was in last year, but at that time I was with people that we were having some difficult challenges living together. Some people moved out, new people moved in. At the same time, I have a flat in London that I've been trying to sell so that I can buy into a kind of more permanent type community. And I had a really challenging situation with tenants not paying rent, refusing to leave. Finally, they did vacate the property, and I was just very, very pleased because I didn't actually expect that to happen. I thought it might have to go to court and stuff, which I would have felt like a big bad landlord. But now I'm just trying to sell the flat, and it's not going very well. It's not in the most sought after area of London, and the market just isn't great at the moment. But there's a group of people, some of whom I was living with before, and including my partner, who we were looking at a house on some land, and 3 of them have now bought the house, and it comes with a bit of land, but is on a much wider plot of land, which we won't own, but we'll have access to for growing, and there's rewilding Devon temperate rainforest. So the 3 of them have bought the house, and when I sell my flat, I'm going to be buying into that. So that's not a whole success of this year, but it's steps in the right direction, and I'm so excited. It's a beautiful house, lots of problems, lots wrong with it, needs a whole renovation, but a very, very special place. And then on reading this year, I set myself a goal of reading over or listening to over 100 books or audiobooks in the year, and I set that target a bit lower than the year before because I didn't want to be I can kind of distract myself with audiobooks too much when maybe I could be doing other things. And I definitely didn't stay that low. So I got through around, well, it's not the end of December yet, but around 282 so far audiobooks or books. And that blows my mind because last year I was on a sabbatical and I only read 173. I listened to audiobooks on double speed. I listen while I'm walking, running, washing up, anything that I find it really hard to sit still and listen, which is probably a good thing, or I do it more. But anytime I'm doing something active, I listen to audiobooks. And then when I'm on a train or something like that, then I read regular books. I've also been trying to do daily German on Duolingo app, and I'm really pleased that I've maintained a 308-day streak on that. And I'd really struggled to stay consistent with it. I have used streak freezes for anyone familiar with the app, which allows you to kind of, if you skip a day, you get a certain allocation of freezes so that it doesn't completely ruin your streak. But the 308 is the number of the days in the year that I have practiced. And at first I wasn't really seeing any improvement. I don't really think Duolingo is the best way of learning. It's good for reading and listening, but for writing and speaking, it's not great. And but I am over time starting to see some differences. Another highlight this year was I got a new job. I was in a job that I thought was going to be really great before, but it was a toxic leadership, a really unhealthy team. There was a lot of backstabbing and bullying and just things not being said, and it was really uncomfortable. And I got a new job this year in a small environmental charity as a fundraiser. And I'm really enjoying it so far. The team is so lovely. It's a lot of work. It's very intense. I've not worked in kind of such a small charity with it doesn't have a huge amount of resource, but it's just a really kind of lovely, nurturing team. So I feel like I can cope with the high workload. Another highlight this year was my holiday to the Alps. I spent a week in Saint-Gervais-les-Bains and Chamonix, watching some of the UTMB race starts and finishes and doing my own running and hiking. I have a recent video up about that, and it was a really special trip and got me wanting to do more of the same. And then I guess another thing I'm pleased with this year is friendships and connections. I feel like I've really nurtured a lot of my friendships. Some I have struggled to as much, particularly having moved out of London and having a lot of close friends there and people having kids, and it is harder to maintain some of them, but I'm really, really trying when I'm back in London to see as many people as I can. So looking ahead to 2025, I'm doing goals a bit differently this year, basically because in the past I've set myself a lot of goals and there's all these competing priorities, and I just generally end up feeling like I haven't done all the things I want to do. And this year I've been really struggling with overwhelm of my time. I think my work takes up a lot of time and I'm going to really have to prioritize my downtime and my hobbies and goals in order to not, in order to get anything done. So my 3 pillars of what I'm going to focus on are running, YouTube, and community. That means letting go of the amount of energy I'm putting into breath work. I am still going to be running some breath works. I am still going to be making breathwork videos. I am still going to be kind of involved in the breathwork world, and that sits in community for me as well, because the breathwork community is really important to me. But at the same time, I am also having to be realistic about what I can achieve in the time I have. And while working a full-time job, having a YouTube channel, an ultra marathon running hobby, and a business that I'm trying to get successful just isn't adding up. And I've just had to lean into the hobbies that really light me up the most at the moment. And that might change, but that's what feels aligned for me right now. So to start with my YouTube goals is a bit loose. And I think that is because in the last few years, I've set myself a goal of becoming monetized on YouTube. I was really struggling with that, and then set myself a goal of uploading a video every week. And with the amount of time I have and the amount of overwhelm I have, I feel like I've been really struggling. And then I've barely uploaded any videos this year. I mean, a few more at the start of this year, but towards the end I've been really slow, and that's not for lack of trying. It's just lacking the time to sit down and focus on it. And I struggle to do things in small windows of time. I kind of need a few hours to get stuck into something. So my goal for this year is to spend 1 day a week working on YouTube. And that doesn't mean like I can't run on that day or whatever, but that's the kind of overarching, a day a week on YouTube without the tangible necessarily, this has to get uploaded. And I feel like that's holding me accountable to like what I'm working on or the time I'm putting in, and then hopefully the outcomes will follow. My running goals, I'm very excited about my running goals this year. So I have just entered the UTMB World Series race in Nice next September. And it's a 107 kilometre race with 4,500 metres of elevation. So it will be the longest race I've done. And hopefully the weather will be good, maybe a little bit too hot even end of September in Nice. I know the weather gets very warm there. But yeah, I'm really excited. And the reason I'm doing this race is because I've decided I am going to aim to get a place in one of the UTMB main races in 2027, which is the year I turn 40. The process for entering the main UTMB races is pretty challenging. You have to collect stones from UTMB World Series races, which happen all over the world. Each race, depending on distance, has a different number of stones. And then each stone is a lottery entry. And then the main UTMB races, so that's CCC, OCC, or UTMB, which is the 50k, 100k, and 100 mile. They're all from a lottery, and the number of stones depicts how many entries you have, and then you might get in. So I could spend 3 years collecting stones and still not get in, but there is a higher probability the more I do. I think at the moment I'm aiming for CCC, which is the 100k race. But there is a tiny part of me going, well, maybe by then I'll be ready for a 100 miler, because doing the full UTMB would be pretty amazing. But I think that's probably a little overambitious at the moment, given the amount of time I have in my life for training. But it's at the back of my mind. And then on that note, I will also be running UTS, that's Ultra Trail Snowdonia, which is another UTMB race. And I'm doing that in May. I wanted to do the 50k as a kind of training run for the 100k later in the year, but it was sold out by the time I got there. So I'm doing the 25k, and it will still be good to get some elevation training in. The race is in Erieri National Park, so lots of elevation. On a side note, I'm not overly enamoured with UTMB as an organisation. I think they are very capitalist, not who I want to be aligned with, but there's just something that is drawing me into those races. Someone in my running club said I was in a toxic relationship with UTMB, and I was like, I can fix them. Yeah, I mean, their races are in really cool places and they're well organised and all of that, but yeah, they're expensive. They're kind of, exclusive. I'm not proud of the fact that I'm going down that route, but that was just what my heart was calling for. And then another running adventure I might do, I don't know yet, but I'd quite like to do a multi-day fast packing adventure, possibly somewhere in Europe. But that's all quite money dependent. My financial situation is pretty tight at the moment. But if I sell my flat and can save a bit more money, then that is on the card. And then community. Community feels like a huge part of who I am and what I do at the moment. And it's not like I have goals as such with that, because it's about connection and support and camaraderie and all of those things and working as a team. But something I am committing to this year is starting therapy again, because since I've been living communally, it's like having mirrors all around you. Everyone you meet, they reflect things back to you about yourself that you may find challenging, or, things that trigger you in other people are often things that bother you about yourself. So I've been quite aware of that. And I've just found a new therapist yesterday, so I'm going to be starting that in January, and I'm really pleased to do that. And I feel like that will hopefully make me a better part of the community. And then obviously hoping to be able to buy into this house that my loved ones have bought and become a part of that community project. Again, I feel like I wish I had so much more time to put into that. All of these things, all of these pillars, the running, the YouTube, the community, and even if I was adding that, the breath work, they could all be completely full-time, all-encompassing endeavours. And I'm trying to do them all on top of a full-time job. And it's a lot. And I also am someone who needs quite a lot of spaciousness. Like, I'm not very good at rushing. I'm not very good at squeezing things in. And I guess that's partly why I felt kind of overwhelmed this year, and I've felt like I haven't been at my best. And I haven't really found a solution for it yet, but I feel like narrowing it down to these core components and goals and, things to focus on, and trying, if something isn't feeding into that, just kind of trying to let it go. I know that's not always possible, and things excite me and things are great opportunities, or I might be able to earn some money another way. But I think I need to focus on what my heart wants. And on the little habits as well, I'd like to keep them in mind. The daily meditation, daily breath work, the daily Duolingo, keeping up with my skincare, like a lot of the things I said last year, which I've been semi-better at, better than I ever was before, but still not super consistent. So I'd like to keep those at the back of my mind, but I'm also holding that with self-compassion because, life is busy. Anyway, that's that. That's my 2024-2025. I'm wishing you all a wonderful, wonderful 2025, a happy new year. If you celebrate at this time of year, I know we all have different new years at different times. And just know that you're in my thoughts, whatever your goals are. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.